Like I said, it's so many of us versus them. This is the same thing that happened with slavery. This is the same thing and the same reason that slaves were slaves. And I might sound like Kanye, but I don't give a fuck. The slaves had a choice. And I'm gonna break it down. It's a couple hundred slaves and a couple hundred niggas with whips. I mean, it's a couple hundred slaves and a handful of niggas with whips, and maybe a couple guns that they take 5 minutes to reload. What the fuck? If one or two niggas, and if everybody wasn't afraid, and they stood up, and maybe somebody wasn't afraid to sacrifice themselves for the betterment of everybody else, niggas would have realized we can overtake them with half of us, less than half of us. But they didn't because fear equals control. You already
Yes.
and
So
listen, yes, and you agreeing. So you already and you didn't said it. You cannot let fear control you because they plant the fear in you. Once you put fear in somebody, you control their whole life.
why you
Fear
think
controls
it's a good
somebody.
point? You have a great point. I always tell them people are scared. You have great point, Mobile.
No, I
Let's
really
be
never
No,
thought
but
about it.
stop saying people,
as
bro.
the
You're scared. I'm
No,
trying
I
to
never.
tell you to overthrow the government, and you say, "Oh, people
bro.
get
I
killed."
cannot do this. Listen,
Respectfully, Flipper, you can come back in a few minutes because I tried to be nice and you keep over talking and not listening. We like to hear all sides of the story, and when you over talk someone, they can't. Nobody can hear either side. You have to listen to understand and not listen to respond. Thank you. Go ahead, Mobile. Mobile, you can finish and then Kayanis you next.
I done fuck around.
What you were saying, you made me think because like I always knew, obviously, in the back of my mind, like there's more slaves. There was more slaves than the slave owners, because there has to be. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I mean, unless you got one slave, then you just could afford one slave. But I never really thought about it, like how crazy of a mental enslavement that is to be outside all day. There's multiple of you, and there's maybe like 3 4 people in the crib that you could just be like, "Yo, I'm not doing this shit no more." And if you wanna, you know what it was? It was the weapons, bro. Because it's like I could just press a button or a trigger. I could pull a trigger and just turn your brain into fucking meatloaf, like on the floor. So like that is enough fear to make you be like, I'm not gonna be that guy. And if you want to be that guy, go ahead. But I'm gonna just work again today, type shit. You see what I'm saying? Like the power to kill one is enough for everyone to be like, I just don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, it's called the placebo effect, and they use that tactics in jail and prison as well. If you think about all those inmates, and you maybe have 5 or 10 depths on the floor, and can keep all those men in.
I think that's a very interesting conversation you guys are having right now, because like, uh, it, it it's all pretty much right, and saying that you have to pick a side is correct. There is no middle ground here. There is no I'm for everyone, I'm for all. There really isn't, with the world that we're faced with, so I completely understand what you guys are saying. You have to pick a side and you have to stand by your twos. I have a way to spin on the end of that though. So I'm not disagreeing, but I think I have an idea of the spin, right? So I have a small belief that everything we just said, everyone here knows, right? They all know that. They all know that there are more of us than them. They already know that the population is that everyone here knows this, right? We've all said this at some point in our lives. I think this is the real fear. After we do that, after we get the power back, after we take them down, and we're all standing around looking at each other, we have memories. We have cells in our body that remember things. And if you think that, or if like I think that we can stop them, then we have to deal with all the problems. I guess what I'm trying to say is that we may solve one problem, but we got about 99 more to go, in a sense.
Yeah, so the spirits of trauma have to be
I definitely
resolved, and all shamanic traditions talk about what's coming. We've reached the arc of like the memory demons, so people don't understand that, but like
really
all the
though.
all the trauma that's ever occurred, we've reached this critical moment, and it's all really powerful, and it's a time in which we'll all be faced with the shadow work in our own lives and collectively. It's all surfacing. So all those that are corrupt, you'll be able to see it. There's no hiding anymore. It's like the veil's coming down, but it's no joke. And it's personal. Like it becomes an inner journey in order for you to transcend this illusion. So that's what he was talking about there will come a point where you'll have to choose. We are being guided towards a really intense transition. These ego deaths, being willing to walk toward it rather than resist it. And so if you heal your vessel and you become a hollow bone, then you'll be guided to do what God has for you to do. You'll wear the armor of God. You'll do what's needed for you. It won't be, we're not science projects. There's not one answer for everybody. It's different for each person because you all have different contracts here, right? And so it's about clearing your own ancestral shit so that you're not passing it on. And there's two deaths. There's the death that you first have when you die, that's your second birth. But the second death is when you face the spirits of trauma, and shamans all talk about this. You can face them before you die, and then you won't have this, you'll have an alternative type of dying. And so the things shamans have been telling us about for a long time, we're all about to find out about. And it's a really, it's the most incredible thing. I don't wish it would be any different. To me, this is the greatest story ever. It's an illusion that needs to play out for us to become conscious of how powerful we are.
Yo, I just think what Kaon has said, and then I see your hand up, Vin. I definitely see you, bro. I just want to get this in real quick. But yo, what Kaon has said is so true. Like after that's all resolved or whatever, we are gonna look at each other and be like, well, now we still have to split up these resources and whatnot. But there is something to be said that we could split up the resources again with no slavery and no time held back. So there's no excuse. You see what I'm saying? Like we could split it in a way, at least in my case, as a Black American. I don't know other people.
But see, this is the thing. When one power gets out of control, another power takes over. So once we get in control, there's going to be people like, well, everybody is so used to doing it this way. Well, let's just run it now. At least we're in charge now. So it's going to be all type of shit, bro. It's not
You
just
have
going
to
to
control
stop
your own
there.
people. If you can't control your own people, you can't control anything. Europe did not do a good job controlling their people. That's the problem here. So after it's all said and done and we're all looking at each other, who's going to control them again? Once they got out, they went insane. The entire world went to war. So this is the thing I'm scared of again. It's not about race. It's just about a mentality of being in scarcity. You can't blame someone whose environment is fucking cold and they're in scarcity. They want to
Right.
survive. Their whole mindset is I freeze and die or I survive. Africans, I mean, come on, guys. We have abundance. Everything comes from Africa. It's the largest mineral count on the earth. There is more minerals in Africa. I could dig out more iron in Africa, give every single cure all the anemia, make you poop, put your poop back in the ground, and then give you back the same amount out of African soil again. That's how much iron and diamonds and gold are in Africa. That's why they won't let Africa out. They won't let Africa come together. So it's like I feel like it's really a situation where we need to go back to nature and essentially, to a degree, do a small separation, right? Until we reset and govern ourselves, know who we are, know what we're doing, and then we can start to progress and work together like we used to and trade and meet up and trade spices and herbs and things like that. Once we left our lands, we had problems. We were talking about slavery a minute ago. We're like, how did they control these people? One simple method is food. We all know that if I play with your food, I play with your emotions. I can make you horny, I can make you sad, I can make you feel anemic, I can make you feel weak. So if one person's mineral content is tied to the land, you take them out of the land, you bring them over to some new land, that's not the same mineral content. They're not even eating the same dandelion root from the grass, it's different dandelions. not even their mineral content. So it's very simple to understand how food can be. Food is the reason of scarcity of all this stuff. Food is the chemical warfare. Without food, you can't survive. Food determines who gets bread. Food is the reason why the Arabs like the Europeans, because they ain't got no cows in Arabia, and no cow want to sit out there in that heat. You need them to give you the cow. So it's all a bartering system of like after it's all said and done, and then what? Because diets are going to be different. People have different needs for food. It's just so many differences that before we talk about saying the mentalities of we have enough to share, that comes from your culture and where you're at. Europeans say there's not enough to share because it's cold and we have to prepare for scarcity. Africans go, there is enough to share because we live outside and everything is from the ground. So we have different mindsets trying to build a similar culture. I think we'll always have problems here until we reach a higher form of consciousness.
Hey, all right. So let me say something. Listening to all this, I'm sitting on my hammock, feeling the breeze, listening to the birds. Nature is a balance. It's all about balance. We might have to make certain decisions in life because of the evil that's upon us, the persecution, the oppression, the suppression. We have to make a decision as to what side we want to be on. That's different. When it comes down to it, and it comes down to finding one with yourself, being one with your spirit and soul. If you go to an extreme, that's what the devil wants you to do. God wants you to find the balance, just like nature, just like the planet. God's in the planet, God's in everything. And if we all just stopped, and we did for 2 years, we saw nature come back. We saw beaches come back. We saw all kinds of great things happen in the natural environment. And a balance was found. And if we can find a balance in ourselves, we'll be able to sustain what the future has. So while we need to make certain decisions today, and that might be left or right, or mask or no mask, or, I'm taking a stand for Trump or not for Trump, or, persecution, or, fake news or not fake news, or jab or no jab, or today's the last day Pfizer's ever going to trade on the New York Stock Exchange because they're running, right? They're running, guys. It's all coming out. And eventually people are going to have to wake up. And even those that are going to have to wake up, my own father included, still trying to wake him up. He's going to have to find a balance with the newly discovered life that he's got when he realizes everything he thought over the last 10, 20, 30 years, whatever. It's been a fraud. So when we come to nature and we hear the birds singing in the background and you see the trees flowing in the wind and you realize what's going on in life, whatever's happening outside of our body is happening, and the Great Awakening or the Great Reset has happened, because there's going to be one or the other, apparently. You got to figure out a way to find a balance in life. There's a yin and a yang. There's a good and an evil. Any extreme points you to hell. Any balance points you to heaven. That's just the way I see it, and that's just the way I feel.
That was well said.
I was just gonna say this, man. In reply to, I forget who said it about the trauma. You can't use trauma as an excuse for why slaves were slaves. You can't use trauma and say that trauma and fear are excuses, because trauma is a lesson. Every loss is a lesson. Every time you're down, it's a lesson. Every trauma event in your life is a lesson. Just like me getting shot. At first, when I got shot, I was paranoid as shit. Paranoid as fuck. I was happy mask came out. I don't want nobody seeing my fucking face, but I could see everybody else. You feel me? But then you have to, and it goes back to what I said the other day. You have to fix the solution. Everybody's putting band-aids on shit. You have to fix the solution, right? And the longer you make excuses and shit, the longer shit's gonna keep happening, bro. The longer we keep making excuses for people, this shit's just gonna be a continuous cycle. Trauma, like for example, to go back to that trauma, I could have said, "Oh, I'm gonna keep being paranoid the rest of my life." No, I made a conscious decision not to be paranoid. What the fuck am I fearful of? Nothing. So why am I paranoid? Paranoid is fear, and I don't believe in fear, right? That goes back to programming. And like I said, they install fear in you and they control you. A lot of y'all are saying y'all not controlled, but then y'all are saying y'all might be fearful of this and that, or the people in control, they might kill me. Okay, so what are you standing for? What's your purpose? Right? And it goes back to that too. A lot of people don't know what they're here for. They don't know their purpose in life. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing. They don't have nothing to stand for, so they blow on with every breeze of wind that come. Every direction the wind go, they going with it. And it goes back to that not having decisions. We have to stop making excuses for people. We have to learn how to make decisions, and because it comes back to choices. It's all connected. Everybody makes a choice. Some people choose to make excuses and some people choose to make shit happen, right? Everything has a choice. Every decision we make has a choice. Everything. So we have to stop that shit because life revolves around choices. Some make good choices, some make bad, and others don't make no choices and follow. And that's their choice. So you have to decide what choice you're going to make. Are you going to stand for something or risk something? Because you can't sit here and say, oh yeah, this shit's fucked up, this and that, this and that. But then you're not making a choice to stand for something. Me, I don't give a fuck. Let the goddamn quote unquote elite come off me today if they got to. Shit, I'm doing God's work. I'm divinely guided and divinely protected. So y'all got to stop letting them control y'all. Because even having fear of getting killed for pushing this shit y'all believe in, y'all say y'all believe it in, but then y'all don't want to push it, and it goes back to the slave mentality. Y'all are fearful of the master. Stop that shit. Make the choice to start making choices. I'm gonna say it again. Make the choice to start making choices for
Hey, I
yourself.
agree. I agree, Mobile. I agree. But it been some shit set in place for us not to be united. We have to nip that in the bud first, or we'll look like January 6th, climbing on walls, people with bullhorns, all discombobulated. We need unity.
No, we need certain levels to unity, right? Because that's the same shit MLK said, and niggas was like, yeah, we need unity, we need this and that. Well, little did they know, MLK was working with the elite to push that narrative to pull them down. We all unite right now. What's gonna happen when we all unite and then some niggas don't do their part and shit go hit the fan? Then now we got people we could go towards. Oh, I'm gonna strike him for this. I need some water, some food, some this and that. So you gotta be careful. It's levels to help. You help those who help you, right? We don't just help those. We help those who help you. And you help, and rather it just be some wisdom. You can talk to a homeless person. They can use some wisdom here. I'm going to give you some money, or I'm going to give you some food. It could be anything. You help those who help you, but you have to also don't help yourself. Don't help everybody and not help yourself. That's just as bad. So we can unite in this and that. But then again, like I said, look at the bigger picture. Because even with the Capitol shit, over half them people was crisis actors hired by the government, working with the government. That's what I'm saying.
I agree. There was probably crisis actors and everything, but I'm saying if you're not united, I'm not saying with the government. I'm talking us people, the citizens, united. Because if we're not, we're just gonna be some dead folks at the Capitol building or at the White House. That's how all units fail.
I feel like that's why they won't let this whole situation blow up, and now we're scrounging for cans and beans. I know that, right? So a big fear and scare tactic I feel like is so a bomb is going to hit us, or this is happen, or whatever happens. Step 2, we're all broke, lights are out, we're eating canned foods, we're scavenging for water. But see, this is very unique, right? I find this philosophy encouraging because I dare you. I dare you to do that. And I think that, yes, we'll have a few deaths here and there. That's nature. But I do not think it'll be as scarce as people think, because it'll only take a week or 2 or 3 or 4 or 12 before people figure out how to filter water. Then it'll only take so then yes, we'll climb out of this, right? So I think this is where it'll get unique. Do you want to give civilization another chance to start over that way again with what they know now? See, that's even more scarier than we've ever existed before. See, imagine how cool it would be if all this shit blew up, right? Your crappy apartment, his nice apartment, my crappy apartment, her nice apartment, all of them blew up. We're all outside. See, it's really unique because if that does happen, we all get connected back to nature. We all start to understand nature. We all start to learn how to survive naturally. Yes, people are gonna die. Yeah, people die every day. But the weird thing is that if we went back, see, the last time we went back to this state in history, we didn't have the information we have now. We consisted 500 years of this, 437 years, 36 years of this, right? So if this happens again now, do you know how much information we would take to the start again? We'd probably build spaceships in about less than 6 years. I wouldn't be surprised. So I really think that they'll never let us get to that point, but they'll put the fear that if we were in that point, how horrible it would be. And I truly believe that because there's no way your man will go back home to nature, like Vince said, and then come back out confused. Maybe some scarcities, but not to a degree with the amount of information he knows. He'll damn near be a walking engineer in nature and or woman.
Yeah, because we still have the technology around too to utilize it. We just have to figure out how it works and how to build it. Like someone new would take the place anyway because they know, their areas of what they want to do. So most likely we would still be like in a fucked up position, to be honest with you. Because someone would take, like, I live in New York, someone would take this shit over and like I would be working under their rule. It'd probably become regional, almost like the 13 colonies. It'd be like 50 colonies of just anarchy. And then, you'd have rulers of each territory or like district for a little bit until it becomes one again.
That's why I said we should do that first. Unite. Right? Instead of just go boom, rush, whatever. If we unite and come with make your first plan the best plan. That's all I'm saying. Come correct the first time. Because some of those people might not have a second chance. And we don't want to say some of those people lost their lives because we were discombobulated. I didn't like him and he didn't like me. What about these vets, these armies, the people that's in the army, the police force that have these people that have their back? So if they think that, we'll be fucked up. That's what I said. If we have unity now, when that shit does happen, we're familiar with it. Of course, we're gonna be, but we're familiar with it.
The Department of Homeland Security keeps putting out these scare tactic things where if you talk up against the government that they're going to come for you because then you're a terrorist.
Well, call me Osama bin Laden.
Nah, the government's, they know they fucking up right now. They know they got Joe Biden's old ass in there. Like, I would tell them this to their face. Whoever runs the government, I would sit down with them right now, right? And they couldn't look at me with a straight face and be like, no, we're not fucking up. They know they're fucking up.
Well, you are telling them. You are telling them. Every social media is governed by the FBI.
Y'all fucking up. I mean, the best thing America has going for it is honestly its businesses. And if this shit with Ukraine doesn't show you that, because look at what they did to Russia. They took away McDonald's, Netflix. Look, all we have to offer is entertainment and food. That shit is lit because, like, it's enjoyable, it's convenient, whatever. But at the end of the day, everyone can make that shit for themselves if you just come together and be like, all right, we're going to work together, be convenient, be fast, especially with everything we know. Mad citizens have already worked at these places, to be honest. Like, I'm just saying, if the government just tried to correct their wrongs to some extent, even like a small extent, it'd be a different story. You know what I'm saying? It's like they don't even care at all, But
yeah, I agree, man. I agree. Yeah. And it's not far-fetched. We see other races united. You know what I'm saying? We're the human race.
That's the problem, though. But that's the problem. That right there, Mr. King. We have an issue with this, right? I need your help too. Like, I need people's advice here too. I'm not trying to say I'm right, but like, Mr. King, that's the issue. It comes back to, even when we look at it from a scientific point, a spiritual point, the other races who are uniting are a origin of one race. See, we're a country of multiple races trying to be one race. No other country in the world is trying to be us. And we're the one country who has all the problems. We fight with everybody. Then we pretend like we come together for a minute. Then we fight again. We're so worried about saying how not racist we are. How can you be racist against your own race? Is this all a oxymoron, right? It's never designed to be a race. America was never designed, in my opinion, to ever be anything more than an escape code to filter money at this point. Because I get it. You guys are my brothers and sisters. This is my human race of people. That's how I'm going to look at it because I'm a human. I have knowledge of who I am and what I can do and produce, right? I respect the humanity and the humanity as a whole and the anatomy of Earth. And I respect the woman's creation and the man's obligation to the creation. I respect all of this. But at the end of the day, it's been proven that races think alike. That's a fact. It's been proven that they, you
Yeah,
know,
I said that. I said it was, we was fucked from the get go. But it's not far. Just think, I think we just thinking too far